Hello, my name is Jacquelyn Ellies, and I'm from Catholic Charities of Santa Rosa. And my presentation is in Schoology. And my DLAC partner is not able to be here today because she is at a very important meeting for her class, which is Rent Ready. And her name is Alejandra Torres. But there will be videos that she recorded to present. And do an overview of Catholic Charities. So Catholic Charities is a nationwide organization, and each purple mark represents an office for Catholic Charities. And each individual office determines what programs they will use depending on the population that they serve. And our office focuses on food, shelter and housing, supportive services, immigration services, and senior services. And also right now, Catholic Charities is heavily involved in the fire recovery for the area. For example, they have the case managers for people who lost their houses to get from the temporary FEMA housing to permanent housing. And what's really exciting is for that process, they are actually using the Schoology site that was developed for a class for housing people. So at least one person right now is actively using that site to prove to FEMA that they are house ready so they can get permanent housing, which is incredibly exciting. And next. So we have the two classes that we'll talk about today. There's Rent Ready, which is education, credit counseling, and motivational coaching on the rights and responsibilities of being a renter. It meets once a week for 8 weeks. And Alejandra is the instructor for that program. And I am the instructor for the citizenship class, which is a class to help ESL students prepare for the citizenship exam. And for that class, or in the class and for the test, they must speak, read, and write in English and answer questions based on US government history and civics. So I would like to talk about our team. This is Alejandra, and she is the coordinator for the Rent Ready class and the instructor for the Rent Ready class. And her supervisor is Cynthia King. And this is Mary Lowe. She's the coordinator for the WIOA funded citizenship class. And this is Teresa Marcelino. She's the coordinator for the USCIS citizenship classes. And our director is Dina Lopez. So thank you to the team, because we couldn't do what we do without the support of all of our team members. And so now I will talk about the Rent Ready class. And Alejandra recorded a video that explains what that class is about.
Hello, my name is Alejandra Torres. I'm the Rent Ready instructor at Catholic Charities of Santa Rosa, and I'm here to share with you how we've been able to introduce blended learning into one of our housing services called Rent Ready. First, what is Rent Ready? Rent Ready is an 8-week workshop as part of the Housing Support Program. The Housing Support Program is actually funded by the county, and their main goal is to house families who are on a cash aid and who are homeless, meaning that they're either couch surfing, they're living in their vehicle, or they're in some type of family emergency shelter. Now, the families who are eligible for this program have the ability to have access to a housing subsidy, meaning that their deposit is covered 100%, and they have 6 months worth of rental assistance. Now, in order to be able to have access to this housing subsidy and actually apply it, they need to attend this 8-week Rent Ready workshop. How important is really this subsidy? It's huge because in this area with the housing costs being so high, that housing subsidy could easily be worth from $5,000 to $7,000 for a family. During Rent Ready, we discuss different life skills. We talk about financial literacy, so we do budgeting, expense tracking, we do credit repair, with the ultimate goal making sure that families feel support in the housing search, what to do when they move in, know their rights and responsibilities when they are housed, and how they can nourish that business relationship with their landlord. So not only do they find housing, but they can stay in a permanent housing.
Okay, thank you, Alejandra. And so it is a face-to-face class. And as you can imagine, there are some challenges for homeless students to be able to make it to a face-to-face class. For example, they may work full-time and they can't take time off from work. Their financial situation is precarious, so that's not a possibility. Or they may have transportation issues. They may have no gas money, and the buses don't run late at night in Santa Rosa. That's just one of the factors of living in Santa Rosa. Or frequently the students there are some students anyway who are pregnant when they start the class, and then they have the baby during the class and they're not able to return for obvious reasons. So there are many reasons why students can't make all of the face-to-face classes. So with the help of DLAC, we learned about different options for distance and blended learning classes, and we chose Schoology. We like Schoology because it's very easy to use, and the format is very clear. You can have folders, for example, for each week of the class. So if a student, for example, is already housed and they don't need to complete the coursework for the sections on housing, they can just go to the sections that they need to finish for them. And so we can just say, hey, you need to finish, weeks 4 and 5. And so that's very clear in Schoology. They go in, they complete the assignments, and then they can finish. So actually what happened was for the Rent Ready class, they decided they needed something like Schoology, and they asked me in a different department if I would be able to do it, and so I did. So it's really just another great sign of the way that the agency is starting to look at different people for support in their technology. And Schoology has worked very well. The goal in the Rent Ready class was for 2 students to use Schoology to fulfill part of the Rent Ready class requirements, and 10 students have used Schoology. 4 completed the class entirely online. 4 completed the class using Schoology to make up missed classes, and then 2 used Schoology but did not complete the coursework. So it's proof of concept. It's working very well. We're very happy to see that development. And there are some challenges for Schoology. Again, if the students are homeless, it can be difficult to have direct access to a computer, and even if they have a computer, they may not have internet connections. It is challenging to staff computers on site or have reliable volunteers available. The full-time staff is not always able to stop what they're doing to help a student, and then scheduling time for the student to come in is also challenging. Libraries are a potential resource, but if clients need troubleshooting help at the library, that's another level of issue. But there are next steps that are very exciting, because Alejandra is meeting today with the Rent Ready team to decide how the a class is going to develop going forward because they changed the model for the class. So the model now is a housing first model, where the focus at the beginning is to get students into stable housing and then provide the supportive services for them to be able to stay in housing. So that's changing the whole nature of the class, because they'll have housing navigators to help them find housing, and then they'll have housing counselors to help with any credit or legal challenges that they have. So Alejandra is at this meeting to present Schoology as a fantastic option, not only to complete coursework, but also to train the trainers for those new positions that are coming in. So they know what their responsibilities are, and they have the information that they need to pass along to their clients. And I will let Alejandra explain that. Do-do-do-do.
Hello, really get the buy-in from our case managers at the housing and shelter department, train them on how to use Schoology so they can train their clients, so they can feel more comfortable in supporting their clients on accessing this wonderful information that I think is going to be very beneficial for them. So that's what we hope to do. The reason I'm not able to be there with you today is because on Friday, I have a very important meeting that's really going to discuss on how Front Ready is going to be approached moving forward. And that's where I'm going to make my pitch on Schoology. So again, it's been wonderful to include Schoology into Rent Ready. We've had some great success stories, we've had some challenges, but we also see some great opportunities in the horizon. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alejandra. Okay. And next. Now I will talk about the citizenship classes.
1426 Dawson Street.
Windows.
Have a single family, 3-bedroom.
Do you know which one?
The video tabs.
There we go.
Close them.
Okay, so I will talk about citizenship. So our original goal for citizenship was to increase their score on a CASAS test on U.S. government civics and history that they would take in the class, and it's in preparation for when they actually take the citizenship tests in person. And the tech tools that we used to help increase those scores was Kahoot, PowerPoint presentations, YouTube videos, Smithsonian Institute videos, Schoology, and Quizlet. And we met our goal because 95% of the students scored 60% or higher. And we chose 60% because that is what students need to get to pass that part of the test in the real exam. They need to get 6 out of 10 correct. And as you all know, Kahoot rocks. So this is a student who is using her cell phone to use Kahoot. She was reluctant at first, but then she saw everybody else doing it, so she wanted to be able to do it too. We had other stories, like there was a student named Martha who took the class before and she didn't have a cell phone, so she always had to partner up with somebody who had a cell phone or use mine. And then one day she came in, she was so excited, she was beaming the biggest smile, and she said, "Teacher, I got a cell phone, finally, I got my own cell phone." She couldn't wait. Can we play Kahoot? Can we play Kahoot? So of course we were going to play Kahoot that day, and before she had only used the phone to make a phone call, and so she finally got to use her own cell phone to play Kahoot. She was thrilled beyond belief. I wish I could have a picture of her smile. It was the second biggest smile in the class. The biggest smile is, of course, when the students come back to say that they passed their citizenship test. But second biggest was when they finally get their own phones to play Kahoot. There was another student, also named Martha, who didn't have her own cell phone, and she finally decided that she was going to borrow, she said borrow, I hope that's true, her husband's cell phone. so she could finally play too. She's so excited. She'd never used a cell phone for anything else except for phone calls. And she also got to play Kahoot. It's just thrilling that they want to, and it's so important to have a positive experience using technology going forward so they feel more comfortable in all their digital literacy needs. And let's see, Schoology was a challenge because it requires an email address. I also used Quizlet in class. This is a picture of the students using Quizlet, and they're smiling, they're happy.
Is that Quizlet Live?
No, it wasn't Quizlet Live, it was just Quizlet. I want to use Quizlet Live in the next semester, for sure. Goal 2, I want to go to the next goal. Goal 2, coming up. There we go. Goal 2 was important because our the Catholic Charities of Santa Rosa serves 6 counties in California, and we just aren't able to have citizenship classes in all 6 counties. So we want to be able to broadcast a class to a different city. So we used the camera from DLAC, and then Anthony, our mentor, got us a Zoom license. So we've been practicing broadcasting the class. So this is a picture of what the students would see. Here's the PowerPoint presentation, and then here's the teacher, which was me, talking about what was going on. Anthony logged on, come on, next. Okay. Well, it's not moving forward, but the next one was Anthony played Kahoot, even though he was in a different city. He played the game along with all the other students. I'll see if it's catching up with itself. It is not. And also, Anthony was able to use his cell phone to access the Zoom site. So that was also a great just proof of concept. Oh, there we go. Just talked about those. So what is coming up next for the citizenship students is incredibly exciting. The agency is providing tablets for the students in the citizenship class. So it'll be so much easier to play Quizlet Live. Everybody will have the same device, and it will be just a fantastic way for the students to all practice together on the devices in the class. And then I am positive that that'll translate to being able to use their own devices at home. They'll be much more comfortable in the class. And it's important for digital literacy, and it's also important for the citizenship test because USCIS, United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, which is the department in charge of the citizenship test, has said that they want to start moving into more high tech for the test itself. So right now, reading and writing are all paper-based, and they have said that one of their goals is to use tablets for the test going forward for reading and writing. You can imagine that the students are already, the anxiety is incredibly high, and if they've never used a tablet before, to have to then navigate that in addition to all the content that they have to know is a challenge. But if they come to class and they're familiar with it, that's not such a big deal. They use it all the time. That won't be such an issue for the students, especially won't be a barrier. So I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Valerie, who was the DLAC, my DLAC partner for year 1. Thank you, Valerie, for all of your work. And I want to say thank you to Anthony and the DLAC team, especially Anthony, who is the DLAC team does rock. Yeah, he was the guinea pig for all of the Zoom sessions. So thank you so much for being willing to do that. And the DLAC team for helping us get to the point where the agency sees how important technology is, and they're backing us, they're funding us, and we're excited to see where especially the Rent Ready Schoology class is being used, like I said, to prove to FEMA that they're house ready, or just so students can get these $5,000 benefits for housing, and it's real concrete projects that are working really well to serve the students. So thank you, DLAC.